It is reality knocking on the door of the WNBA dump. Headline at Bro Bible. Indiana Feline struggling to sell out season opener. What? The Felines are struggling to sell tickets. Not only are they struggling to sell tickets to the season opener against the Dallas Wankers, I am seeing reports on Twitter that the Indiana Felines are struggling to sell season tickets.
The Indiana Fever can't sell out their season opener, and season tickets are only sitting at 70% sold when last year they vanished in under an hour. Ticket prices have exploded from $20 to over $100 for regular season games, while decent seats are commanding $900. The WNBA just locked in nearly $100 million in player salaries, and now they're waking up to the fact that nobody wants to shell out these prices to watch. Reality just came knocking on the league's door, and the owners are in full panic mode.
Their season tickets sold out in less than an hour. This year, a week or so before the preseason begins, only 70% of the season tickets have been sold for the Indiana Felines. I wonder...
When you let players spend an entire season taking physical shots at your biggest star, allow racist accusations to fly unchecked, fail to market her the right way, draft someone with known tension against her straight to her own team, and then triple ticket prices thinking fans will just fork over whatever you demand. Are you really shocked when those same fans decide to pass and ticket sales go off a cliff?
This has got to be a terrifying reality for the diva of Dump Divas, Kat Engelbert, the woman responsible for committing millions of dollars to players in a league that struggles to generate thousands of pesos.
Let's get into what's actually going down with WNBA ticket sales, because the numbers paint a devastating picture and expose everything that's broken about how this league runs. The Indiana Fever, the squad with Caitlin Clark, the team that packed every arena last season, the team that supposedly rescued the WNBA from irrelevance, can't even sell out their season opener. The most popular franchise in the league, featuring the player who drives 90% of the league's buzz, can't fill seats for opening night, and it gets uglier from there. Last season, Indiana Fever season tickets disappeared in under 60 minutes. Fans were fighting for access, the waitlist stretched for months, people were dropping resale money just to get through the doors. That was the Caitlin Clark phenomenon at maximum strength. Jump ahead to this year, and season tickets are stuck at 70% sold. With preseason tipping off in a week, that leaves 30% of season ticket inventory just sitting there unsold. That represents a catastrophic drop in demand for the league's most watched team.
There seems to be a serious misunderstanding in the WNBA when it comes to understanding value. It is easier to sell out games when tickets are selling for $20. Well, it's easier for most teams to sell out with cheap tickets. The Las Vegas Anonymous Faces, who just committed over $5 million to AJ Wilson, they couldn't sell out the WNBA Finals last year with tickets selling for less than $40. Going into this season, there has been a drastic increase in ticket prices in the WNBA.
WNBA defenders are lining up with excuses right now. They'll point fingers at ticket pricing. They'll blame the Raven Johnson draft selection. They'll accuse fans of racism or whatever fresh allegation they manufacture next. But the actual reason ticket sales are cratering is straightforward. The WNBA completely mishandled the Caitlin Clark phenomenon through incompetence, jealousy, and permitting a toxic environment of hostility and racism directed at their most valuable asset. Start with the ticket pricing disaster, because it demonstrates perfectly how disconnected WNBA ownership is from economic reality. Last season, you could grab Indiana Fever tickets for $20 to $40 for most matchups. Affordable and accessible territory where a family of four could attend without financial stress, and the venue consistently sold out because pricing aligned with the product. This year, the first two games showcasing Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever start at $100 per seat. $100 for nosebleed sections to watch a WNBA regular season contest. Want respectable seats 11 rows from the action? That runs $900 per ticket. $900 for a regular season WNBA game.
If the WNBA is capitalizing on momentum, if prices are increasing due to market demand, then why in the hell are they struggling to sell tickets? The first 2 games of this season with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, one game at home, the other on the road against the LA Sparkles, tickets for both games are starting at $100. Decent seats, 11 rows from the court. The WNBA is asking $900 per ticket. For that price, you can get better seats for the NBA playoffs.
For context, you can secure superior seats for NBA playoff matchups at lower cost. The WNBA is demanding more for a random regular season game in May than the NBA charges for opening round playoff action. Absorb that reality. The league that bleeds money annually and survives on NBA subsidies is pricing their product above the league that generates billions in actual revenue. And WNBA owners are baffled that nobody's purchasing, completely blindsided that fans aren't queuing up to drop $900 on women's basketball. The disconnect is staggering, but understand this principle. When you possess a product people genuinely crave, price resistance diminishes. Super Bowl tickets command thousands, and every seat moves. NBA Finals tickets carry brutal prices and arenas overflow. Taylor Swift charges hundreds per ticket and her shows evaporate in minutes. When you deliver something people desperately want to witness, they discover methods to afford it. The WNBA lacks that equation. What they manufactured was an illusion constructed on controversy and spectacle surrounding one individual. And when that spectacle fades, when the circus atmosphere dissolves, people recognize they're being asked to pay elite prices for mediocre entertainment, and they decline. The WNBA's reaction to declining sales exposes their mindset completely. They inflated prices because necessity demanded it. Player compensation exploded under the new collective bargaining agreement. Last season, total league payroll hovered around $20 million. This season, it's approaching $100 million. The average WNBA player now pulls $600,000. That capital must originate somewhere, so they cranked up ticket costs and hoped fans would simply comply. They fundamentally misread what fueled demand last season. It wasn't basketball excellence, it wasn't league-wide celebrity power, it wasn't some sudden appreciation for women's athletics. It was Caitlin Clark. Specifically the turmoil surrounding her, the aggressive fouls, the racist accusations targeting her supporters, the Angel Reese rivalry fabrication, the controversy, the mayhem. That's what audiences paid to witness. And the WNBA, in their remarkable short-sightedness, actively undermined their own prosperity. Rather than safeguarding their most valuable star and constructing the league around her magnetism, they permitted a culture of envy and bitterness to spread. They let players commit blatant fouls against Clark with negligible repercussions. They endorsed the narrative that her achievements stemmed from white privilege rather than exceptional ability. They tolerated a poisonous atmosphere where their financial lifeline was treated like an adversary. Kennedy Carter's hip check on Caitlin Clark last season ranked among the most flagrant cheap shots in professional athletics. It occurred away from play, was unmistakably intentional, was reckless and dangerous, and the league barely addressed it. A common foul designation, nothing more. No suspension, no meaningful discipline, just a clear signal to every player that attacking Caitlin Clark carries no serious consequences. And Carter wasn't alone in this behavior. Multiple players throughout the season delivered cheap shots at Clark. Deliberate fouls that would have triggered ejections and suspensions in any competently managed league. But the WNBA permitted it to continue. Why this tolerance? Because the players committing these fouls were predominantly black, and the league was paralyzed by fear of racism accusations if they actually enforced standards. So rather than protecting their most valuable commodity, rather than acknowledging that Caitlin Clark's health and success directly determined the league's financial trajectory, they sacrificed her to appease players who resented her popularity. That transcends incompetence into deliberate sabotage territory. And the racism allegations deserve examination. Consider the relentless accusations of racism aimed at Caitlin Clark and her fan base. From her league entry, a coordinated campaign framed her success as white privilege product rather than extraordinary talent. Jamela Hill, Cheryl Swoops, countless WNBA players and media figures all amplified this narrative. They couldn't accept that a white player generated more interest and attention than black players who'd occupied the league for years, so they weaponized racial accusations. They claimed Clark's fans only supported her because of race, insisted media only covered her due to skin color, dismissed her accomplishments by attributing them to systemic advantages rather than skill. And the WNBA not only tolerated this narrative spreading, they encouraged it through silence, never defending their star, never acknowledging the transparent truth that Clark's popularity was performance-earned. Here's the truly absurd element. The league possessed complete awareness that Caitlin Clark generated their financial windfall. They knew attendance surged because of her, understood TV ratings climbed because of her, recognized sponsorships flooded in because of her. They possessed comprehensive data demonstrating one player carried the entire operation, and they still permitted her mistreatment by jealous colleagues and race-baiting media personalities. That represents organizational incompetence at nearly incomprehensible levels. The WNBA held a golden opportunity to construct something sustainable, possessed a generational star bringing mainstream attention to a league that existed in obscurity for decades. Their only requirements were protecting her, promoting her, and building the league around her star power. Instead, they executed the opposite strategy. They permitted the anybody but Caitlin Clark faction to dominate messaging. They let Angel Reese's manufactured rivalry overshadow Clark's genuine accomplishments. They allowed a culture where resenting the league's meal ticket wasn't just acceptable, but celebrated. And now they're absorbing the consequences. The Raven Johnson draft selection perfectly captures the Fever's organizational dysfunction. They selected a 5'9" point guard who can't shoot, the identical position Caitlin Clark occupies. A player with documented tension history with Clark from college matchups. Someone who accused Clark's supporters of racism when Iowa defeated South Carolina. And the Fever considered this sound decision-making. Disregard the basketball fit problems. Ignore that Johnson lacks shooting ability and plays your franchise player's position. The optics alone constitute catastrophe. You draft someone with existing conflict against your cornerstone, bring in a player who already accused your star's fan base of racism, create that locker room dynamic intentionally. That's either malicious or profoundly stupid. Likely both simultaneously. And now Fever fans face racism accusations for questioning the selection. Predictably, because that's the WNBA playbook. Make terrible decisions, then accuse critics of bigotry, repeat the cycle endlessly. But here's what the WNBA fails to grasp. Fans possess exit options. Fans owe you neither money nor attention. And when you treat customers like racists for supporting your biggest star, when you permit that star's physical assault without consequences, when you draft players specifically designed to manufacture tension, and that's precisely what's unfolding. The ticket sales crisis transcends Indiana, its league-wide devastation. The Las Vegas Aces, fresh off committing over $5 million to A'ja Wilson, couldn't sell out WNBA Finals games last year with tickets under $40. The finals, the championship rounds, the season's most critical games couldn't achieve sellout status. That reveals everything about actual product demand, and now they anticipate fans paying $100 to $900 per ticket for regular season contests? In what reality does that constitute sound business logic? You couldn't move finals tickets at $40, but expect people will drop $900 for a random Tuesday night game in May? The mathematics collapse completely. The WNBA constructed their entire growth framework on illusion and deception. They convinced themselves last year's attendance spike reflected newfound enthusiasm for women's basketball, believed crowds appeared for the sport itself, accepted their own propaganda, and they miscalculated everything. Audiences didn't attend for women's basketball quality. They came for spectacle. The Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry theater. The controversy machinery, the viral moment production, the circus atmosphere. The actual basketball was peripheral entertainment, and when Caitlin Clark suffered injury and missed substantial time last season, when drama subsided, interest evaporated immediately. TV ratings plummeted, social media engagement declined sharply, the buzz vanished entirely. But rather than acknowledging this reality and adjusting strategy, the WNBA doubled down recklessly. They increased player salaries fivefold, elevated ticket prices threefold, assumed demand would persist regardless of product quality or drama levels. And now they're discovering people refuse to pay premium pricing for mediocre product with diminishing spectacle. The WWE WrestleMania comparison illuminates perfectly. WrestleMania 41 achieved sellout status. WrestleMania 42 couldn't sell out in identical city 1 year later. Why the difference? Because the product wasn't as compelling, storylines weren't as engaging, drama wasn't as captivating, and 20,000 people determined it wasn't worth their investment. Same venue, same event brand, different outcome because product quality declined. The WNBA experiences identical dynamics. Last season, the product held interest because of Caitlin Clark surrounding drama. This year, that drama largely dissipated. Clark returned healthy, but manufactured controversy faded away. Angel Reese relocated to Atlanta. The physical fouls and cheap shots decreased because the league finally recognized attacking their revenue generator damaged business. And without the drama element, people realize they're being asked to pay premium rates to watch basketball significantly inferior to NBA product. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The WNBA refuses to acknowledge. The league depends 100% on Caitlin Clark. Not on women's basketball generally, not on multiple star power, not on league-wide talent depth, on one singular player. If Caitlin Clark retired tomorrow, the WNBA would instantly return to obscurity, TV ratings would crater immediately, attendance would collapse entirely, sponsorships would evaporate. Because nobody else in that league possesses carrying capacity. If you want more unfiltered WNBA analysis, hit like and subscribe.